Testing 1 2 1 2 testing microphone up. Just kidding. Hello everybody, welcome. Please give us a sound check. Do I sound okay? Is the microphone functioning? Thank you so much. Thanks, Tommy. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Welcome. This is part 2 of the Moldavite experience, or the Moldavite seminar, or the Moldavite workshop, or just a great chat about Moldavite through experience and through what we've all learned. Plus, you get a glimpse of seeing one of the most beautiful pieces of Moldavite in the world, a spectacular piece. And it had a name when I bought it called the Flame of Bohemia. So I think I'm going to start with that so I can get that out of the way. So I brought it from the safe. It's here. And I just want to be careful because I don't want to just a single tiny chip, a little bit, will devalue it by almost half. So please let it be. So I'm putting it on a piece of glass. I'm putting, well, it is on a piece of glass actually. It's a plastic on a light. So here you go. I just wanted to show you the color. So that's the color. Okay, so move that away. And now you can see it in its full form. It's got a slight tail twist, just a slight. And every single what you would call a spike, like that's why they call it a hedgehog, is absolutely mint. There is no damage on this piece anywhere whatsoever. Imagine that lasting the length of time and being created out of Mother Earth with the rain and with everything that happens, that it just ends up in such a beautiful way. So you probably already know by now that this piece was initially 2 pieces, because as it traveled through the air, it kind of span. And as it spins, it ends up like a dumbbell. So this piece, in theory, when it was spinning through the air, would have had another exact same piece, being thin in the middle and then thicker like this one. So what you're normally looking for, if it's, I mean, I've never seen one, a piece like this, but which has the other piece attached to it, that would be, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of euros. But this is a most beautiful piece. Just as I hold it, my back of my neck is tingling like crazy, heart beating. Palpitation is the word that I use, but what a most beautiful piece. Now, it's very difficult to see because it's so thick, right? It's a thick piece there. The thinner the pieces, the easier it is to see the color. And the very thin pieces of Bessanit's hedgehog, you can see straight through them. Some people ask me, can you fake this? And I told the story of one of the beautiful men that I buy from in Czech Republic, and they paid for a flight for him to go to China because they wanted to see if he could spot the fake from the original. So that was really interesting when he told me that. So obviously, I think they're going to create, and the masters at fakery, the masters at the frauds. Basically, that's what they do. It's a to me and you, that's terrible, but to them, it's just very normal life. We copy everything. They copy everything. Everything they grip, they copy. That's all they are. The copies of people's, work or of Mother Nature or whatever. So yeah, it's fascinating. But there you go. That's the piece. Comes out every now and again. Is that beautiful? So I'm going to now put that back. So yeah, that was the Flame of Bohemia. So that's now going to go back in a safe. Just leave that over there. So I hope you enjoyed seeing that beautiful piece. I guess have you got any questions about the Flame of Bohemia? Would you like to ask any questions? Hi, everybody. Welcome, beautiful souls. Thank you for being here. If you've got any questions about the Flame of Bohemia, that particular piece, it came from the Czech Republic and it comes from a specific place called Besenice. Besenice is only a little tiny village. And I told the story, and I guess if you're new to the channel of Mark Bajerski, if you're new to some of the stories, when I was there, I was told the story about the Cold War and how the Russians came into the village and made an agreement with the local town to extract a number of fields of Moldavite. So they brought these big trucks in, and apparently they were army trucks. They excavated so much of the land, and then they gave back to the town to reconstruct the town and make it better. And I presume they would have given them money as well. The question lies, why would Russia want to come and excavate Moldavite? So that leads to the question, what is Moldavite? And for many years, I've understood that Moldavite is like, if you just imagine a quartz crystal, somebody says it's just a quartz crystal, but it isn't, because quartz crystal is phenomenal. It's quartz is phenomenal, and it's used in so many devices, so many master computers. Why is that? Well, if you take a smoky quartz, a big piece of smoky quartz, and if anybody's got long hair, grab 3 or 4 pieces of their hair, pull their hair out, right? 3 or 4 pieces, and put them together and wrap it around tight around the smoky quartz, and then get a lighter and light the hair on the smoky quartz. What you'll find is you can't light the hair. There's something so spectacular, so magical, and so real that it looks almost unreal. How can it not burn the hair? And how come heat doesn't affect crystal? So you can put that flame there for an hour and then touch the crystal and it absorbs heat. So that's why it's used in computers, but so much more. Now, why is Moldavite been on record of being used on staffs, on talismans, on many different things like cups and so on? Because it holds a frequency that is extremely powerful in so many ways. Can Moldavite be insured? I've no idea. It's a great question. I've no idea. I've never looked at it. I don't like to, you see, for me, it's like insuring that is almost like me saying it's going to get stolen. So I don't believe in insurance. The only time I have insurance is when, say, I have to, because the satanic law forces me to. And to anybody else, yes, I understand if somebody gets knocked over, you need money to be able to pay or damages. I get that for a car. I understand. So, but anyway, by the by, just a side note. Yeah, so moving on, Besanit's hedgehog is, let's say, probably one of the most attractive Moldavites, because the Moldavite itself, when you look at it, it's beautiful under the light, but sometimes doesn't look as beautiful, whereas the hedgehog just looks so beautiful. I think I mentioned to you yesterday that the chimes, the Moldavite chimes, that if you drop it and it sounds like a chime, they have a little bit more value. So people like that. A lot of my on my websites are chimes, but I don't really mention that. It's not really that important to me. So today we're going to focus on Moldavite in the sense of it being a talisman. So how is it used and how was it used? And I'd like to discuss, first of all, before we go down that path, what I believe Moldavite is in a esoteric and spiritual way through the work that I've done and what I've heard from my clients and from myself that I put together. So that would be nice to talk about a little bit. So when you start to work on clients with Moldavite, say you put it on the third eye, certain clients start to go through a certain pattern of behavior. And one of those patterns is a heavy breathing to a point where they're blowing out of their mouth really hard and really fast. Now, not always, but when that happens, I used to feel very excited because after that comes the Moldavite language. So that is a form of gibberish, which is no language per se, but has a kind of familiarity when other people speak like this. So one of the other things that was fascinating is how people could see certain colors which weren't the colors of the colors we know. The other thing what was fascinating as well was they often saw, let's say, a different kind of being than you and I that didn't walk but floated. That was mentioned a lot. They often, the way they described these beings was not of flesh, but more of energy, but had, let's say, a silhouette of a being. And some mentioned what they looked like, and sometimes it was not like an extraterrestrial with the big eyes, but more like a kind of human presence, but they couldn't put their finger on what they were seeing, and they could see a lot of color and a lot of energy. A lot of people talked about another world. They talked about a world where nobody spoke. So when they were there and they were watching and seeing these, there was no conversation, but yet they could hear them talking. So that made me realize that this is maybe a place where people connected through thought. So that was their language. So that was very interesting. And I too had very similar experiences with Moldavite. So I can definitely say I got the same feeling. For me, what struck me most of all is the sand wasn't the color of sand, and yet I knew it was sand. The sea wasn't the color of the sea, and yet I saw the ocean, and there was no waves. It was very, very perfect. It was very still, but it was an ocean. But it was a different color. What color it was, I can't say. Was it purple? No, it wasn't purple. Was it red? No, it wasn't red. Well, what color it was? If you ask anybody who's had this experience, you can't relate to it because there is no graph. There is no rainbow energy color that you're looking at. How you feel is really important as well. The frequency of your feeling is you're almost attuned to everything that you see, feel. Your life, you're lightless, so you don't weigh anything neither, and you are not your body when you're there. So you don't see yourself. All you see is just like you're visualizing another world around you, but yet you are part of it. Behind the sea. I just saw what wasn't rock, what wasn't grass. It was just, again, there are no words to explain it. This is why it's hard when anybody comes out of the state of going into the Moldavite frequency or the Moldavite memory, because it's the memory in the crystal that you're picking up on. You're picking up on, basically, see, what I believe Moldavite is part of a world that is no longer. So how it imploded, exploded, and then it shot out everywhere. The memory of everything that was on that planet is in Moldavite and can be experienced. Thus, it kind of makes sense that when you feel Moldavite, you feel feelings that are so unusual, so different from our planet. The emotion, the color, the feeling, and what happens to you when you wear it. So it's almost like you're getting a download from Moldavite of where it came from. That is what I've written in the book. That's my truth. And there's nothing else has changed my mind since starting working with it 20 years ago. So that's fascinating to me. It blows me away when anybody speaks. And there was one guy, and I can't find it now, but there was one person that I remember watching. A video popped up, and it was about this guy talking about being a healer in the world. And he said, I was a healer, and all healers know this. When you're a healer, lots of people give you crystals, and they do. I don't know why. It's just that's one of the things they give you. They give you flowers, they give you crystals, they give you something which is kind of spiritual, always crystals normally. And I remember him saying that, like, I don't know whether he had it in his pocket or not, but one day I think he did what I did. He took the crystal out and put it on the client, or gave the crystal, or I don't know exactly what happened. And then he started talking. He didn't mention the blowing out of the mouth, but he mentioned that the client started to speak. And I'm like, I was with Susie at the time. I was jumping around, like a bit like when I was on the same interview with Sheep Farm and Jerry Mazinski, and he said, because he was a worker in a huge asylum in America, and his knowledge of entities was fascinating. And it's like the first time I've ever met somebody who has done the same thing as me, but on a different scale. I go into houses. He worked with these people who heard voices, and then he realized that they're not just voices, they're people who are speaking to him, speaking to the person that is there. So like, yeah, that's very, very normal in my world. And that's entity, that's demonic, whatever you want to call it. And then he said, one thing they don't like, these entities, is, and he said, Gregorian chants. And he said, French Gregorian chants. And I'm like, there's loads of Gregorian chants. And if you go to my website, you can see that a few years ago, I created a soundtrack where I'm doing my healing work, speaking into the microphone, so you can't hear it. But in the background, it's French Gregorian chants, because it was the only music that really cleared demonic entity for me. It was the best one out of every bit of music I used over the years. So I jumped up in the air, so excited, and it was live, so people could see, right, or that this guy's really excited about what he's just said. Damn right I am. I don't speak to anybody about this work, what I do. I'm like on my own. Nobody wants to know about what I do. Nobody wants to know about entity attachment, no, unless you've got it. So the same thing with Moldavite. Nobody really back then knew about Moldavite. Only a very small fraction of people talked about Moldavite 20 years ago. Very few. And like, so it was like nobody knew about it. So I was introducing people to it. And then I see this video of this guy, I don't know how old he is now, talking about this man or woman started talking. And he's like, and I'm like, listen to this. And as he's speaking, it's like this guy is speaking exactly the same as I'm speaking. Like when you're doing a healing session and somebody's talking, what you can do, not listen. And then when they're talking in this way, you're like, what? And it's not normal. It's not a language. What is this? It's not gibberish, because I sleep with, I've lived with a few women and slept with them and heard them talking. It's gibberish, but this isn't. There's something else, and it sounds different. So you get and you're a healer. You want to do the job, and if they wake up and your ears next to their mouth, they're going to think this is weird. So you want to listen, but you have to be careful. And he was saying the same thing. He was saying, I wanted to hear what they were saying. So I was getting closer and closer. And it's like, I know just what you're saying, pal. So this isn't crazy. This isn't crazy. It's crazy if you don't know it. It's crazy if you don't experience Moldavite. It's crazy and nonsensical if you don't understand and experience it. However, if you experience it, all of a sudden everything changes. This is what pisses me off, right? From one person saying I don't get anything, right? And calling me saying I'm a fraud, to a month later or a week later or a day later saying, I'm sorry, mate, I got it wrong. This is, do you know what just happened to me? Yeah, I know what you're going to say. Something crazy happened that you can't explain it. And it's got to be the Moldavite. Yeah, it did. And so now you believe me. So why didn't you believe me before? Why did you just think I was crazy? And you actually called me terrible things. You posted things on Facebook about, I was a fraud. And now you're in the backboard on my backboard apologizing. And yet you won't go to your timeline and say, I'm sorry, guys. Actually, I was completely a dick. And what I said was absolutely bang out of order. I slandered Mark Bayersky from saying he's a fraud. And actually, something happened to me last week. Why don't they ever do that? There's 1% who will apologize and publicly say that. So I was mocked and ridiculed for 8 years of working with Moldavite until Moldavite started gaining some traction with, let's say, doctors, scientists, and other people who are in the same kind of field of work as, I can't remember his name, but I'm not going to say his name, but anything to do with the esoteric and all the other names that they use for not the normal science, let's say. So people often say you seem a bit begruntled. Not begruntled. You just get a bit, not again. Here we go, not again. Here we go, not again. It's like it's constant. So the field of Moldavite is not an easy one to walk. It's like spirituality. It's not an easy path to walk, because you're going to be targeted. Oh, what? Crystals. That Senamar is an idiot. He works with crystals. This is the normal thing. What is the tarot reader? What an idiot. Yeah, what a plonker. Senamar. So, and then you realize, it gets a bit tiresome. But going back to that moment of your client getting up off the seat and experiencing colors that you've never seen before, feelings that you've never felt before, with inside you, something's happened and changed. It's like you've been restructured inside. Something's changed within you. And I see that every time people connect to Moldavite. So the biggest question is, why don't I connect to Moldavite? What is it? Well, there's been times in my 20 years that I've had Moldavite and nothing's happened. Did I say, oh, there's something wrong with Moldavite? No, I just see it this way. Moldavite does its work. When it's done its work, it's done its work. If you want to go deeper into working with Moldavite, then your expression or your energy or your focus has to be a connection to Moldavite. So I have got to connect to Moldavite. So my intention, Moldavite then picks that up and then begins the work. So in theory, Moldavite does at times blow you away, because whatever is going on in your body needs to be restructured, cleansed, cleared, detoxed. Once that's done, and at that point you go, oh God, it works. And then you say, it doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work because it's done its work. And now what we need to do is start working with it. Now we need to begin the work. And to begin the work, it's like, if you want to connect to the spirit world, you've got to begin the work. And that is cleansing, clearing your body, clearing the room, getting the right frequency. Why do you think all psychics and healers and anybody who does shamanic work, they know that they have to get the room ready? So it's all about energy frequency. And that's the same with Moldavite. You've got to be prepared. You've got to prepare the room. You've got to prepare yourself. And you've got to go through certain procedures to get to the connecting of the Moldavite. And that is when there's a kind of, I guess the only word people are using at the moment is activation. Activating the Moldavite. Moldavite's already activated. It's you that needs to connect yourself to the Moldavite. So I often use this analogy. The spirit world is here. That's the spirit world. Okay. This is you here. So the spirit world is vibrating on this level, and you are vibrating on this level. For you to feel the spirit world, you have to cleanse, clear, work on yourself, clear the room, get everything ready, clear your mind, and then you come up to it. What I also realized as well is that at the same time as you are coming up to it, the spirit world realizes that you're working and then comes down to you sometimes, so you meet halfway. But with Moldavite, I kind of see it like you've got to put the work in to get to it. So Moldavite's already on its own frequency. If you want to hit that frequency, you have to do the work. So a lot of people don't like to hear that. Now, when I say leave the Moldavite on all the time, the reason why is because sometimes if you're in deep sleep and you're in a place where your energy is starting to clear and strengthen and become heightened at some point within your sleep or within your day, and it could happen at any time, you can hit the frequency of Moldavite and then you'll feel something. And then it won't be there again because your frequency's changed. So it's all about energy. And if you can hit the frequency of energy of Moldavite, you'll get blown away by its energy. So some of the things that I like to do is I like to get my Moldavite, okay? And I like to just simply hold it. Just hold it. And as I'm holding it, if the room is of good energy, if I'm feeling okay, like I've no issues, I'm not thinking about anything bad, I'm not worried about anybody, I'm not in a rush, these are the times that you would do meditation. These are the times that you would, just, okay, your mind is leaving you alone because maybe you're about to go to sleep, maybe not, but you find the place and the time where you're in that space where there is no confrontation, there is no fighting with yourself. And when you get to that point, you can then hold the Moldavite and just feel, just be in the presence of that feeling. So if I can take this off, just give you an idea. So if I've got the Moldavite and I put it here and I hold it here like this and just close my eyes, I don't need to focus too much on my breath because I'm feeling, I'm about to feel. So I'm just feeling. And what does that mean? I'm not looking for anything. I'm just feeling. It means that your body is becoming heightenedly aware. So it's not really the word feeling. It's just being aware, but I'm not looking to be aware. So it's a hard one to explain to people. Don't be aware, but be aware. Yeah, don't be aware. Don't look to be aware of anything, but just be open. I know it's another word and it's a cliche, but it's just, I'm not looking for anything. I'm not trying to find anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm just being at peace. And then all of a sudden, there are times when you can just feel something. And it's a bit like a game. You're playing a game with Moldavite. What is it that Moldavite's trying to communicate to you about? So if I've got like this in my hand, or if I'm wearing it on my chest and I'm just being at peace, I can then receive information from either my consciousness or the Moldavite, whichever is in tune to me, that makes me aware of what's going on. So my consciousness speaks loud to the spacesuit, and the spacesuit is aware. And then it may be that I'm going to do some healing on myself, or I'm going to go into meditation. So if I go into kind of a meditation, which is basically a state of peace and changing your frequency to modern day life, to clearing that modern day life, and you're in a space where you're not involved with modern day life, you're coming out of that space. So putting it on your third eye and just laying down and just being at peace and just being in that frequency and just being open, what happens is there are times that you can go into a crazy, this like, wow, what the hell's going on? And then you get to the point where it might happen a few times and you get frustrated because you're frightened. Some of my clients got frightened and said, I don't want to go any further. I don't want to do this anymore. That happened. Of course it did, because they were frightened of what they thought that if you don't know what's coming, you're scared, and then you cut it off. When you're asleep, and it happens, well, you don't cut it off because you're actually in that frequency. And normally when it happens, most of all, is when people are asleep. So Moldavite works really well when you're asleep. That's why I said wear it all night. Now, when I say wear it all night, don't get upset with me if you break it. This is just held on here with a solder, and it's held on here with a solder. You've got to treat it with respect, or else it'll break. I mean, if I bend this now, it's going to break. It's silver. It's silver, so it's going to break. So you have to be careful how you wear it. So just be aware of that. That's why I often say get a piece of Moldavite, just a little tiny slither of Moldavite. Like that, just a little piece like this. Because I have one over there, like this. It's about 1.4, 1.5 grams, something like that. Okay, it's only small, but this is what I would wear on a night, because that ain't going to damage. You're not going to break that. So when you wear that on the night and say it's around and you put it here and you fall asleep, one of the things that I use is Moldavite oil. So I lay down on my back and go into a meditation to go into a sleep. I get the oil, rub it here, and then put the Moldavite on like that. And at times it'll stick depending on how thin it is. That's why I think a thin slice works really well. One of my favorites, my thin slice. I was working with it this morning, and it's fantastic. So that's something that you can do as well. So yeah, one of the stories I'd like to share with you was about a little Jack Russell. And I used to have a lot of people bringing animals to me. And this Jack Russell always struggled with, it was a kind of arthritis in the back legs and couldn't walk very well. So this lady used to bring this Jack Russell to me, and I used to give the Jack Russell a healing session. And it was fine. It run around and it was happy after 5 minutes, because working with animals is a different frequency than working with humans. And the reason why is because animals absorb energy 1,000 times faster than a human. So you don't need to work too long with animals. So I remember gifting this lady a Moldavite, and I said, because she said, the little doggy, the girl, she's fine. The female doggy is fine. But then after a couple of weeks, she starts to feel like bad again. Okay, so I don't know why. I took the Moldavite off and I said, I don't know if you, and it was only a small Moldavite. was only a small one, but it was on a, it was just a small one, but it was like kind of round, and it was mounted really nice. And I said, can you put this on like a collar and just observe and see what happens? I said, but don't put it on till your doggy starts to feel bad again. She rang me up and she said, you're not going to believe this. My little doggy, when I put the Moldavite on, started running around like crazy for about 5 minutes and then stopped. And I said, wow, that's interesting. And I said, what are you doing now? Well, she said, she's fine at the moment. Don't seem to be any trouble. So Moldavite definitely helped a little bit for sure. She's fine. She's walking around. She's not in pain. Normally I can tell, you normally can tell when your dog's in pain if you know your dog. And I said, well, that's good news. She says, what should I do with the Moldavite? And I said, I don't know. Leave it on. Let's see what happens. This doggy used to come to me, I'd say once every 6 weeks. When the Moldavite went on and she wore it all the time, she'd come once every 3 months. And she swore blind by the piece of Moldavite around her doggy's neck for help in the pain of what the doggy was going through. There's also a story that I have with a red setter. It was part red setter and part, it had Rhodesian Ridgeback red setter. It was a half and half. Anyway, again, a piece of Moldavite, but not on the dog, in the bed. So they got a big, I remember the bed, it was red and it was plastic. And then they had a nice fluffy cover to go on. So the dog, I said, just put the Moldavite underneath and see what happens. And the dog it was more of a psychological issue with the dog. The dog just was so, like, if there's such thing as a dog with ADHD, this dog had it. It had so much energy, so much life. And it doesn't matter how many times they walk the dog. I had to go to Belmadina to heal. I used to go there to heal, and they pay me to go there. So that was okay. I didn't mind doing that. And I'd do a healing session, and then the doggy would calm down for a week or two, and then it was going crazy again. So I said, try Moldavite. And they put the Moldavite in the bed, and the difference between the Moldavite and without the Moldavite, they reckoned was about 30% difference. So they were able to get on with their day without having to totally focus on their dog. And they had 30% more time when the dog would fall asleep in the bed. And when the dog would get up, it wouldn't go crazy. When the Moldavite came out, now you would think that Moldavite would be one to send you nuts because it's powerful. No, powerful doesn't mean it sends you crazy or you become extra, like it brings a lot of balance. So for those who wonder if Moldavite's any good, I found it fascinating with animals. And I have one story about a black cat that went absolutely crazy, apeshit. The cat used to scratch everybody. It went apeshit. That was in San Pedro. The cat went crazy. It used to scratch everybody. So they bought a collar, right? They managed to get the collar on, and they put a piece of Moldavite on. Now the cat would scratch you and wait for you to come up to you to scratch you. So it was like a devious cat. It pretended to be nice, and then it'd scratch you. Like, wow, that's a dangerous cat. What's wrong with that soul? They put a piece of Moldavite around it. They managed to get the Moldavite around the cat when the cat had just woken up and it was a bit all over the place. It jumped up, went into the urbanization garden, and it just ran around and went crazy for about 15 minutes, they told me. And then after that, the cat calmed down and stopped scratching people. So there are moments with Moldavite that I find, not just with animals, but with children, with adults, the way we behave, if we are unbalanced, if there's something not quite right, if it's an attachment, if it's something that we need to get rid of, Moldavite seemed to get rid of it. So, because you could easily argue, well, that cat was fine, it was an attachment, and it could have been. The reason why it was running around is because whatever's in the Moldavite is causing a frequency that if there is an attachment in that cat, it ain't going to stay. It can't stay in that energy. So remember, the cat used to wait to scratch people. That's a little bit about like Jerry Mazinski saying that, a lot of his patients who heard voices, the voices would tell them to do bad things, to hurt people, to harm them. So this is true. This is what I hear when I worked with my clients who had attachments. It's easy to see that there's something not right. There's something wrong. Moldavite was that crystal that certainly it was like it's like holy water, I guess. They just don't like that energy, that frequency. They don't like healing energy. They don't like sound therapy within French Gregorian chants. There's a lot of other reasons why, but I don't want to go into that. I want to still talk about Moldavite. So I got so many stories about Moldavite. When we put it in our palm and we have it there, I put it in my palm as a place where I'm just going to leave it there and see what happens. From there, I might have a communication or a connection with it to then suddenly put it somewhere else or hold it in a different place. And that often goes to some kind of, not always the chakras, not always the power points. I call them power points. And there's so many power points. It might be somewhere completely unusual that you might need to put it. So if I work with Moldavite in my hand and I've got my other hand on my client or just above the client, all of a sudden I'm told to move that Moldavite to a certain place. And when you move it, it might be just say at the left-hand side of the groin of a male, you put it there and just leave it there and then move away and continue doing any healing work. You'll find that there's a movement, and that movement is negative energy being cleared for the body to begin movement again. The other thing that I had a client who had huge issues with a disease that they said was incurable. So I used to lay my client down. His name was John, and he was a school teacher. And as he laid down, till it's turn over, normally they would face upwards, but I asked him to turn around because I wanted to work on his back. And he had all his clothes on. I had a t-shirt on because it was normally warm in Spain in my room. And I'd get 7 pieces of Moldavite. And from the top of the head, when his head was tilted, I'd put one on his crown chakra. I put one on his temple, one on the neck, and then all the other 3 down right to the base of the spine. And I'd do a healing session by going and sitting down, putting my hand on the top of the head, or go to the bottom of the feet and just put my hands there, and you can see the frequency and energy. And that guy, after 1 hour, would get up and say, my pain's gone. And he would have no pain for a month. And he used to come to me regularly over 10 years. So Moldavite has the energy of healing. It has the energy of awakening. It has the energy of connecting. So what do you want with your Moldavite is really the question that I used to ask when I worked with it. So if I sat here now, what do I want to feel from Moldavite? That is the first thing I'd ask. Sometimes I have no desire to want to know anything, but I just want to sit here and feel the Moldavite. Just want to hold it. Don't know why, just want to hold it. That's also beautiful. But if you want to start connecting to like other worlds and you want to start to feel other things, then you have to work at that, and you have to understand that it takes time, effort, and practice to get there. So if you think about Lemuria, if you think about the ancients, the healers that worked with crystals, worked with them from teenagers, and then they had their teachers who taught them how to work with crystals and various crystals, and how to, I believe they used to put energy into them, and that's how they used to communicate. So they would put energy of a thought into a crystal and then give that crystal to a carrier that would take it to a different part of the world or village, and the healer in that village would hold that crystal and know what message was given. That is what I try and do to you. I work with a crystal for anywhere between like 10 and 30 hours. What I do is put a memory into that crystal that some people understand and feel, some people don't, but they feel something different, and or they feel better, or oh, I got this feeling. Yeah, because I worked on a memory. It's almost like me giving you a story in this crystal. You buy the crystal and you hold the crystal or wear it, and the message that I put in there through pure energy healing, whether it's okay, with this particular crystal, what I want to do is help this person. So imagine if I want to get you a message, I want to help this person be able to see what's going on in their life with their partner. So I want to put energy of seeing their partner for who they truly are, realizing that you are not to blame for what your partner behaves and treats you like. And in this crystal, I'm going to see your partner being aware of what he's going through, and I'm going to help you be aware of what your partner's going through. So my thought in this crystal now, in this Moldavite, is you've got the Moldavite energy, but the memory that I'm putting into it is trying to help you be able to have a happier life with your partner, or to at least come to a point in your life where you make a decision because you don't know why your partner's behaving like he is, but now you do because you wear this crystal. That's just one thing that I might work on. Or it might be I'm working on your heart because you've got no self-worth, you've been treated bad. So I'm going to now see you well in self-worth. I'm going to see you happy, strong, and you're going to deserve everything that you need. Basically like the healer did back in the ancient times when he gave a message to a village through a crystal. It's the same thing, except I'm just giving you that message. You feel it, and then you heal yourself through the message or the memory of that crystal. That's why when people say, how come your crystals are so expensive? Because I work on them. I don't just buy them. Not only do I cherry pick them and get the best, but I actually work with them. I spend hours on a single crystal, or 5 crystals, or 10 crystals. So then when they're ready, they have a different frequency and energy, which is included in that. And anybody who asks me about Moldavite, when you get a crystal from me, you don't need to do anything with it. It's already had between 10 and 30 hours work. So that's as cleansing work as you're ever going to get. So you don't need to worry about it. Just let it be. So I have spoken to you about the fact that these 3 crystals work well together. They do. If you ever get Herkimer diamond from India, and you get a beautiful piece of tektite from Thailand, from there's quite a few places you can get it. Vietnam is beautiful. So if you put these 3 together, you'll find that during a day, the 3 frequencies work so well that it's beautiful. You feel like your life feels better, happier, stronger. And when you do go into meditation, it's just easier, and pain and suffering doesn't last as long. You let it go, it doesn't matter. And that's what the power of Moldavite, Herkimer, and tektite does together. It's fascinating on so many levels. If a Moldavite is chipped, if it's broke, or if it drops off you and it's chipped and broke, it doesn't always mean that you have to get rid of it. Sometimes a Moldavite can just fly out of energy. I remember doing a reading, a Skype reading on somebody. Yeah, well, basically it was the Skype reading. Now I'm remembering, it was connected to, in fact, I talked about it today in my last video, Kerry Katona. It was one of her, somebody who was very close to her. And as I was giving the reading, this crystal here just popped out and just rolled down. And sometimes when you're working on somebody or working on yourself and something's happening, there is something about Moldavite that it does this. Sometimes it can crack. Sometimes Moldavite can change its color. So you can look at it, and I've often had people say, you sold me a fake Moldavite, and I'll say, why? It says, because it's changed color. And I'll say, yeah, because Moldavite is alive. It's a living entity. It changes color, changes frequency. It also, if you're going through a really difficult time, you can see cloud and within it. So there's new clouds appear in it. It's just a word that we use. So it looks darker in patches. And then you've got inclusions change. And it's like, it's not the same Moldavite. And no, it's not fake, mate. It's actually genuine, but Moldavite changes frequency. And other crystals can do this. Other crystals change color and change frequency and look strange. And then they can go back again. So I believe a crystal is a living entity. And I believe Moldavite is definitely a living entity. And I do believe it works to your frequency. And a lot of my clients used to say, it doesn't work anymore. And I'd say, okay, just leave it then. And then they'd go back to it 6 months later and say, oh my God, I was blown away. And I'll say, in that 6 months, how have you been feeling? Terrible. Everything's gone wrong. I said, so doesn't it make sense that when you were wearing it, when you took it off, you told me that you were fine? Because I asked you when it's not working. I said, how are you feeling at the moment? Really? You know, in comparison to how you used to feel, how you feel? Okay, actually. So anything going wrong in your life? No, everything's okay. But the Moldavite isn't working. Oh, okay. So maybe it did work, and now you're just wanting more. And why can't you just be happy as you are? But that's hard to say to somebody. But then I'd say to them, but the fact that you're now feeling bad again, things are going wrong in your life, you put the Moldavite back on and now it's working. I would suggest that it was always working. It's just that it did its job, and now it doesn't need to do anything else unless you take it out to work in such a way that this becomes a talisman. And now I'm going to do some astral travel. I want to try astral travel. I want to see if I can literally come out of my body. Is it possible? Of course it's possible. Is it possible for me to meditate and feel my family in spirit? Of course it's possible. Is it possible that I can work with Moldavite and try and create my life into a magical life? I've seen it 1,000 times. I've seen it 1,000 times. So, yeah. So there you go. That's my truth. So that was 50 minutes of Moldavite seminar, and just a snippet of a few stories and my understanding of Moldavite. So would you like to ask any questions, guys, from Fluffy? From here onwards, do you want to ask a question? And I'll try and answer some of your questions on Moldavite. Nice one. Well done. Yeah, I talked about this yesterday. So if you look at, if you watched the video yesterday, headaches are very normal with Moldavite. Also, it only goes to show that the frequency of Moldavite is very similar to the frequency of any kind of ritual, ceremony, any kind of circle nights, any kind of healing session, same frequency. So I often used to sit down and get terrible headaches when I used to be involved in a circle with a shaman or a good healer. Why? Because you're detoxing, you're clearing suffering and pain that you've been through for years and years and years. And Moldavite does that. It releases, but it can take time. It can take time. If you bear with it and keep going with it and keep that and just let the headache just disappear, it will go. Eventually it'll go. So I'll give you a great example. I used to do 6-7 retreats a year with Ajahn and Bettina. And there was, I always used to say to somebody, okay, now you're all here. Just want you to know that you might sleep well tonight. You might not sleep at all tonight. You might have a terrible headache when you're sat here with me. And all of these things are very normal. Okay. Very normal. And let the process go. If you feel sick, you feel ill, you want to throw up. In here, I've had maybe 15 people throw up in here. And I got to the point where I said, look, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to clean your own sick up. And the reason why is because we are clearing out trauma or blocks or issues that we don't even realize. And when you start the healing process, whether it's with crystals or good energy, working in this energy, it can cause a lot of issue. You can cause anger. I used to have people getting angry in here, like especially if you use, Palo Santo or sage, they'll get angry. That's because there's something wrong with you, because there's nothing wrong with the smell of sage. Why would it get you angry? It's just the smell of sage. Well, it gets you angry because there's something either attached to you that doesn't want to go, and then you start to get angry. So it's all about trapped trauma, and that is its way of saying, I'm not going anywhere, even though you're trying to pull it out with Moldavites, trying to clear it, and that pain's there. It's almost like saying, I'm not going anywhere. And it's fighting in the way of giving you a headache. Just like if you have an attachment, it's going to make you be angry with somebody and angry with the situation that you're in. So if you see it that way, you understand it a little bit more. But there's nothing at all wrong with getting headaches. In fact, work through it, and then you'll feel so much better once that headache's gone, to the point where you don't get any headaches anymore. Don't we all? I learn every day. Hi, Peter. Yeah, you're most welcome. You are most welcome. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just trying to find some questions. Mark, have you meditated with that big, beautiful piece? Take a wild guess. Yeah. Does Moldavite fade in the sunlight? I don't think it's a matter of Moldavite faded in the sunlight. So I don't know. I used to have a skylight with a blasting sun. I'm in Spain. So I had a glass a skylight that used to open and shut, and it used to beam down the sun so bright, and my crystals used to be on there. So they were always getting this sun energy. Did I see the Moldavites change color? I saw them change color, but not all of them. So, if you put a painting in a front window in a shop and it's sunny all the time, it'll just go dull. It'll lose all its color. If I've got 10 pieces of Moldavite all on the table and the sun's beaming down on them every day for 4 years, and them have always been there, surely they would all fade. They were all the same color, and they all stayed the same color. And then one day, one changed color, and then another one might have changed, like weird black inside. So that's how I saw it. I don't know, because I've never actually taken a piece of Moldavite and put it in my front window for the sunlight to shine on it to take away the color. I just don't know. So it could be, it might not be. I don't know. But I guess it's a great question, but it's not something that I've ever looked at. Sorry about the noise downstairs if you're hearing noise downstairs. I don't know. I don't know really how to answer that. Not today. Pretty good. You're welcome. No shipping to India at all. Your country and your devious parasite government, which is all part of the shipping and the taxes, will not allow me to send you a crystal. Just won't happen anymore. So I'm sorry. That's your disgusting country's leaders and greedy, horrible people. Yeah, of course. Moldavite heals a lot of bodily conditions, loads of them. So it works physically, mentally, and emotionally, 100%. No, I'm bringing the singing bowl out. What do you want me to bring the singing bowl out? Just do you want to tune to the singing bowl? Thank you so much, Mark. Many nuggets, good stuff. All right, then let's finish with the singing bowl. Get your Moldavites out and get in a comfortable position. You twisted my arm. Get into a comfortable position. If you've got oil, put it on your third eye. Put it on here as well. Third eye here, and rub some on the top of your head if you've got any kind of oil that you like to use. Back of the neck as well, and ears. So we're going to try and get this section here as much as we can get on. Okay, so here, 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 back of here, ears. Okay, and then get into a comfortable position. And however you feel with the Moldavite, either in your hand or put it on your third eye, or you can even put it on your heart, doesn't matter. But the most important thing, if you want to start connecting to your Moldavite, is start to get yourself into a position where you're not thinking. You're not thinking. Thinking fills up the brain with negative energy. Your being is to just be. So the best way is whatever comes into your mind, it's okay. Whatever stays in your mind, it's okay. Whatever leaves your mind, it's okay. By saying that to yourself, your brain shuts down because your brain is wanting to know what you're doing. You can't say to your brain, relax, because your brain isn't geared up to relax. It's not geared up to stop. It's geared up to work. So I find it easier when I say, I don't care what comes in my mind. I don't care what stays in my mind. I don't care what leaves in my mind, which means that your brain doesn't know what to do. And then it shuts itself down. And just be, and for don't focus on anything, just be. And that is, to me, the best frequency to get started. So I'll go and get it. Okay, everybody, come back to your beautiful self if you're still in that frequency and vibration. If you didn't feel anything, it's okay, it's fine. There's no rush to feel, there's no rush to experience this frequency that you've never experienced in all your life. There's no rush. Life, magic, it's all a journey. It's all a journey. Don't rush it. Don't force it. Don't want it. Because once it's come, then you'll wish you had it. You wish you were back to where you started again. Some of my favorite moments was when I first started. I so envy people who are beginning. So this is a Moldavite singing bowl. Somebody asked the question, is it made from Moldavite? I asked the same question actually. And it was made in America by a very famous firm. And the people who, I think it's a family business of what I was told. I bought it from somebody who bought it for me. You all may know her as Cecilia, who was meant to be coming here to do singing bowls. So she has like, I don't know, like 50, 60,000 euros worth. This was thousands of euros. Does it have Moldavite? I don't know is the answer. But what I do know is that the people who make them have been making them. It's their life, it's their journey, it's their path, and they work with frequency. So frequency of Moldavite, I believe, the frequency of, let's say, rose quartz and all the others, I think it's more to do with the alignment of chakras, the frequency of them, the frequency of what they feel that Moldavite singing bowl vibrates at. I can't be 100% sure of all of these things that I'm saying, but I don't. I could be completely wrong here, right? But I don't feel that this is Moldavite. I feel like it's trying to get as close to the frequency of Moldavite. I don't when I touch it, I don't like feel like I've got Moldavite in my hand. But it was sold and it was worked upon and it was created all around the frequency and Moldavite. And that's why it's called a Moldavite singing bowl. That's all I know. You could ask the same question when Cecilia comes here and see what she says. But it wasn't real like, oh, there's a Moldavite singing bowl. I didn't think, oh my God, great, it's all Moldavite, because if this was Moldavite, it'd be 200, 300, 400,000 euros. Could they have added some Moldavite dust in? Yeah, they could have done, because it's glass, so it's been fired, so they could have put it in there. Is it in there? Do you feel it? I don't actually. So I kind of like, I'm not sure if it is, but I think the frequency is phenomenal. Does it work with Moldavite? Yes, it does. And I use this every time. So like I finished now working with about 40 or 50 pieces of trios. They're going to go in here just before I go down to the office. And I do about 10 minutes, so 5 to 10 minutes work. So that will be the final energy frequency that goes into them. So you've got your pure energy healing of a healer who puts certain frequency into it. Then you've got the energy. I do meditation as well, so I'll put meditation work into it as well. And then they go into here. They actually go into here to begin with. So my first set, when the Moldavites come from Maliclum, I put them straight in here to begin with. Then they get sent to ballet after I finish working with them for maybe 30 hours, sometimes 20 hours, depending on how I'm feeling on each bunch. So it takes a long time to work on my crystals, a long time. So yeah, that's it. I'll put this away. Okay. Brilliant. Okay, then. So you're most welcome. I'm I'm going to get off in a second, but before I go, I'm going to ask anybody who's never ever had a free gift from me, and anybody who really genuinely can't afford, because you're maybe out of work, you may be, there's a fly in the room, you may be out of work, or you've just literally you can't afford a crystal. If you could just put the word yes, that's me, just yes. Now, I haven't got massive Moldavites, so don't expect massive ones. But what I've got is I brought some Moldavites, which are genuine Moldavites. They don't have to be massive. So we've got, like, just hang on now. So I'm going to go from here downwards. Okay, so from that one. So there's a crystal here for you, a Moldavite in here for you. And that's Dario. So Dario, if you do me a favor, and you go to info@markbayerski.com and say your name's Dario with your name, address, and that'll be shipped off to you, Dario, as a gift from my heart to yours for joining us tonight and for being so kind. At least you're getting a beautiful, genuine Moldavite, all mounted so you can wear it straight away. So that's Dario. That's great. Another beautiful. Oh, the spirit's just come into the room. Michelle, this beauty is coming to you. Shelley. Every one of these Moldavites have been worked on with love. Yeah, Clara, I just got the name, so just got that name. So anyway, this one's for you. This is a Moldavite, one of my beautiful pieces that just come back from Bali. So you can see the Moldavite there. Can you see the Moldavite? Beautiful piece of Moldavite, a Herkimer diamond and a tektite. So Clara, that's from you, for you. Clara, Claudia. Congratulations. I have one more actually here. This is for you. Beautiful one. Beautiful piece. Gorgeous. Hey. So that's for you. I can't pronounce your name. Okay, just hang on a second. Let me write that down. Okay, that's coming to you. Beautiful soul. I hope you appreciate that. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. The piece of Moldavite that I just worked on with you, just showed you, that's coming to you, Annette. Yates. Congratulations. That's a beautiful piece. I loved working on that. This one, filled with beautiful energy. And then I go to above. I saw this person here. Solas. This is a beauty as well. Look at that one, straight from my website. It's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous piece. That's coming to you. Congratulations, well done. You are all loved. Okay, I'm going to go to the final one now. Bonnie. I didn't get a yes there. I got congratulations, but you're still getting one. So you're the last one. There you go. That's for you, Angel. It's a beauty. I actually loved working on that as well. Well done, Bonnie. That's coming to you. All right then, guys. That's it. That's my little bit of love. Remember now, if you go on to markbayerski.com, all crystals, Moldavites, if you like them, you can go on there. I've got an amazing collection. However, something I'm doing this month now, from now on, I don't know when, but through the days, there's going to be a crystal upload. I don't know if it's once a day, twice a day, or once a week. I don't know, but randomly, the girls who upload them and the men who upload them daily, they'll just see it and then they'll upload it. So the crystal could be 45, 50, 80, 300, 200, but it's going to have a £1 price tag. And that's basically me being able to give away crystals for the fact that my website and people who love my products continually buy them, support my work, and love what they buy. So they repeat. I have like 90, we're up to 87% at this moment, return clients. So that says a lot. So they love the products. So it's another way of giving as well as receiving. So when I do well, I gift as much as I can as well, to the point where the tax man and the government doesn't attack me. So that's it, guys. Until next time, Friday tomorrow, right? Has anybody got any suggestions for a nice 1 hour workshop? Any suggestions for a 1 hour workshop tomorrow at the same time? I think I'd like to do another workshop tomorrow. I like to give back because the website, because the sales are doing so well. I feel like I want to give back more as well. So I'd like to say also thank you for being amazing and choosing my crystals. And you could choose any crystal. So it's just another way of saying thank you. Okay, let's do tarot cards. All right, tomorrow night then, tarot cards it will be. We'll do a tarot workshop. Love you all. I'm wishing you all a lovely, lovely evening, morning, night, whatever you're doing, from all of me, my heart. And there's somebody here, and I don't know who it is, but there's somebody here. So I want to say thank you to whoever it is. Yeah, it's quite amazing. All right, guys, I'm going. I wish you all a lovely evening. I get all a bit flustered sometimes when spirit gets in here. I'm all over the place, but it's nice. I'm going to meditate, sit and meditate now for a short while. And I'll see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock. I'll type up now so you'll be able to see the next workshop tomorrow night on tarot cards. Love you all. Take care, everybody. Bye for now. Bye-bye. See you later, guys. Bye.